Mark is back.
Mark is back.
Good to see you.
I just didn't want it, just the poll to be in front, that's all. Mr. Chair, would you like me to read Donna's memo here? It's just it's a correction of, please be advised that abatement was recommended and approved for property identified as map 43 lot 29 and owned by Kipple Real Estate Company LLC. The valuation of tax amounts listed were incorrect. I've attached the paperwork necessary to make up the difference in tax dollars. If you have any questions, and the amount is here. So the issue was that she missed a digit in the abatement amount. So the abatement amount only came out to be like $45.60, and it should have been $4,560. So she caught it when she went to process it after the meeting. And so this is a correction of the abatement that you processed at your last meeting to make it correct. Part of this, the settled agreement with both Camp Cobussy and Camp Kippewa on their properties. She met on one land parcel. She missed a digit, so it made that one parcel less than what it should have been.
So I make a motion to approve Donna's correction of the abatement for lot 43, map 43, lot 29.
So motion by Chris, second by Mark to amend the abatement as Donna requested. All those in favor? Thank you.
She did want me to express her apologies for that mistake. That's all you have tonight, is just that one. Because 3 more, which will be the final 3 for your next meeting on May 13th.
Our next meeting's not until May 13th.
That's correct. So when we set the meeting schedule this year at the beginning of the year, we the board chose to forego its 3rd meeting of the month because there really isn't enough. Usually there's not enough business. So because of that, we're skipping the meeting. That would be April, I believe it's 30th or 30. Yeah, April. Yeah, whatever that last meeting is, foregoing. So to keep on your normal schedule, it would be May 13th would be your next meeting.
15 times plus 14 is 29.
Yes, there you go, 29.
29. I can do.
You never remember how many days are in a month except February, except for leap year.
They didn't teach you the song when you were in grade.
Maybe they did, but there's a lot of stuff that was quickly deleted.
I never
Never
could
did
figure out the
that.
knuckles one. I know the riddle
Yeah.
just now.
And, for the planets and or something like
Yeah.
that.
Motion to adjourn.
So I make a motion to adjourn the Board of Assessors.
I will second that.
Motion by Chris, second by Kayla to adjourn the assessors meeting. All those in favor? Thank you.
That's it for you.
Really,
I know.
all I can think when I see someone handing a paper bag is it's like alcohol.
Yes, alcohol.
No,
That's we came prepared. That's in here.
You look very springy today. I like it.
Yeah, you have to be just.
Mark, you're still in charge of steaks and lobster,
Yes.
even though you're not pres anymore?
Yes.
You're still a glutton for
It's still my event.
Well, the steaks though are in the freezer.
They did.
Because those are in the freezer. Those were purchased a couple of weeks ago. So,
It says that Mama's gonna get it this year.
That's what Shed says? Really?
Yeah, we can come up with any cheating number. They
I thought that-
You got one 200 and something pounds.
they were way down in count. But I think I kept calling him a liar, so maybe.
That's the strategy.
Yeah, they-
Minimize and
They're throwing
minimize.
us a bone this year,
Yeah, maybe.
just to keep us off the trail.
Well, it turns out we did pretty well, so.
You got back on Sunday night.
Yeah, we signed up to come.
Yeah, because I left Saturday and
I remember.
drove until I hit Harrisburg and then stopped there for the night.
How'd you do race? I never heard of a racing virtually.
Yeah, I did okay. It was kind of slow. Because it came down to like, I didn't realize that they wanted me there an hour and a half before start time. The start was at 7. It was already 40 minutes away and I didn't get out there to the weekend. And I was like, you guys aren't gonna want to get up that early, are you? What's the need to run 3 hours? And they was like, heating, and I was like, it's a virtual. But I still have the one in British Columbia at the end of May. And then I signed up for Beach to Beacon again. They just opened registration for that. And I did sign up for, no, it's not a lottery anymore. It will be in probably a few days, enough spots though. But I like that one because it's so fast. The Beach to Beacon's only a 6K and it's pretty fun. Right. I did sign up for a full marathon in February. Yeah, and it's New Orleans. I'll probably die. Yeah, but it's a women's only full marathon. And I was like, that sounds so empowering. And so one of my coworkers might do it too. But, and I love New Orleans. It's like one of my favorite cities. But can't not go there in February, right? So I'll probably die. I was like, I struggle enough to run my like 13 miles. 26 to January that. Or maybe week before, to grab the garbage.
I hated marathons. I only did 5.
And only did. Boston's really cool. I heard that like there's that one hill that's like, yeah, because I'm always like, oh, I would love to run Boston. I'd have to get my work to put me on their team because there's no way to ever qualify. It's too slow. But I know MGB has a team, so if I asked them to like put me on it, they probably would. That's pretty much the only way you can like run those if you're not a fast runner. It's like get on a team. I can't believe you've run Boston twice, but we're near the marathons.
One called the Coast, which started it in Kennebunk High School. And then wandered around and went from Kennebunk
Still do that one. Yeah.
and up at University.
Oh, wow.
And that was when I qualified for Boston.
That's cool.
Doug, did you use Sugarloaf to qualify for Boston? A lot of people use the Sugarloaf one to qualify because it's supposed to be easy. Well,
It's Sugarloaf is supposed to be.
Sugarloaf is supposed, a lot of people do the Sugarloaf one to qualify because it is a qualifier and it's supposed to be easier than some, apparently. I don't know, I don't run, but that's what I.
She reached Northeast address about.
I have to come around there.
Right, that's what I thought, something like that, right? So you're not running up hills or.
Can't see you. I saw you once already.
My wife said, "Good God." I stopped running when dinosaurs went extinct. I figured there's nothing chasing me, so why am I running?
Right.
That sounds really good. One of my coworkers, the coworker who I'm going to British Columbia with, he's run Boston. He did a PhD last year, so. Funny enough, she finished it way before I did. So like they came out after. It's like, the chapter, she's such a good runner, and I'm like. But one of our other coworkers who lives in Minnesota started running too, and so she's flying up to Minnesota to run a race with her out there.
You're all set.
All right.
Yeah.
Went up now.
Number 7. No. it's okay.
And I just looked at
Do you want her memo? Do you
that.
want to read it or do you want me to read it?
Along the coast to
I'll read it. Here, I'll give it to you.
wine and oysters and cheese, and I'm like, I would finish that one. I would be so happy. I'm like, I thought that's so much better than like electrolytes, you know, just so much, running so much.
Thank you.
Any statements and supplements?
There was.
Beard got whiter.
Made it your island.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, that was
You're here in person now. Now what colors it gonna be?
Oh, I meant to bring it up. There's a box in the town office. If no one told you that's for you. I'm sorry, I was gonna bring it up because I knew you were gonna be here tonight, but I walked right past it. It's my first aid. Oh, okay. Well, it's there. Anyway.
You get a cut,
I meant
if you get a cut, just open up the box.
I always.
Hey, Mike.
Quotes me.
Say, I have a few extra comments.
Yep, feel free. I mean,
While we're waiting. Justin. They do have like some copies of rules and stuff.
Hey.
I just hired that.
There's no.
Well below.
There's some social media conversation.
Oh, okay.
It's RFP.
There's nobody there.
Yeah, but no, it's well below the threshold. 5,000, I think, is what department heads can authorize on their own without even asking me. He did talk to me about it first. Okay, yeah.
I
mean, but no, we did. Yeah, sure, that's fine.
The roles, the access,
Oh, you guys.
and
We didn't do extra copies.
Yeah, just leave it up there. That's what I do. I just leave the.
What I did print out though, because you want extra copies, what the old rules were to, just so you can kind of see what we did to make some adjustments to. Not a lot. Just they're gonna be helpful to see and trust with it. Can I ask, is it your cabin that's at Metrowana on the soccer field? Yeah, so I was down there walking my dog the other day in Norm. So I grew up with Metrowana.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, so Norm and I used to actually be on staff when his boys were there.
Yeah.
So we're really close with Dylan.
So, what are the four boys?
He's got Dylan, Luke, and
Dylan, Luke, and Ethan. It was Dylan that was sort of the seed crystal for getting Marvin Academy kids involved with one BSI.
yes.
What you did.
Yes.
Yeah, he got all of his pounds, and Rick Amarillo was principal at the time. And it was really cool. It was like meeting a week with this group of kids that would come in early.
Yeah.
And meet with me. And they were like super enthusiastic about, I think they helped me build the compost, the first compost.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember because I used to work on building maintenance. I used to be on the crew that would take all the waste out to the transfer station, and then I was like, I don't even know how much waste it was.
Oh, yeah.
But we would try to not everybody was good about separating out food and stuff. So throw it, it'll break. What are we doing? But so I live about 2 miles down the road.
Oh, okay.
That's actually where I met my wife. We got married.
Oh, cool.
That's where our kids
Very
go.
So, twice a year. Actually, we're coming up soon. We're gonna come back and put it back in the water.
Oh, really?
Probably next week. But in November, we like dragged it onto that. I bought a specific construction trailer for that day, so that I could leave.
So we've been paying
on a
since February, been throwing like 2,000. And last month, right.
Just a big job.
Yeah.
We're slowly getting
Like that, so probably like, because the thing set up so that we'll, at the minimum, we'll pay 100 until June.
Oh, the meeting to order. Would, welcome. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for April 1st.
I saw one issue, the vote for Article 21, it says 3-0, and it should say
Yes.
3-2.
Yes. I don't know, and I don't know what the acronym for MWAC is. Is it MWAC?
Main waste to energy. I don't know if they say E in there.
I think it was- I didn't recognize the.
Doing
Have to add in vowels so that we can say it. Main waste to energy, MWE is what it is, but
I don't know why it's called.
it's MWE is what it is. That's what it should be.
What's it say on here?
NWACK.
Yes. Where are you? Yeah, it should be MWE.
Under your report.
MWE. And that as well.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes for April 1st with those two.
The motion by Chris, second by Kayla, to approve the minutes with the changes for April 1st. Those in favor? Thank you. Next are department reports and new department now.
We're building towards that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna be talking about some beach stuff in a little bit, but if you want me to give a little highlight of what's going on in rec, I'm happy to do that.
Well, you're gonna talk later.
Yeah, we could save it for then. That's fine.
Okay.
Whatever works.
Chief.
So good evening. Just a few things from the fire department. We're into our dry season. Forest fire season's on our doorstep. We just had our first grass fire the other day. The ashes by the edge of the forest and just a small, of an acre burning, caught it in time, snuffed it out, so. I just wanted to take this opportunity to just let people know about burning permits. You need one, just go to the Maine Forest website, Maine Forest Service, and get an online burning permit. We can still do the old paper permits, but we prefer people to do the online permit. Easier. Fire officers, we all get it electronically. Just easier to manage, but point of reference, if you have an outdoor fire pit and it's 3 feet in diameter, no higher than a 3-foot flame, and you're doing cooking or warming purposes, no permit required. Have a nice little warming fire, and that's fine. But if you're cleaning up your yard and you're using your pit to burn brush, just get a permit. Especially if there's any smoke from leaves or something. Sometimes you get nuisance calls, so it's good to have a permit on hand. Speaking of forest fires, we're gonna be doing training Thursday, tomorrow night, down at Highmore. Unless it rains, if it's too wet, then we'll be indoors and we'll have a nice PowerPoint presentation, just for you. We like to do a little live fire burn training because it's more practical for the firefighters, so hopefully we can pull that off tomorrow. And if it's wet or if it's windy. We just had our annual dinner, just a couple highlights. Lieutenant Cody Roy, my son, got firefighter of the year, so proud dad moment, chief moment. Sarah Fornia, we call her Sarah the Terror, junior firefighter of the year. We had 10 of the Sarahs on the department. And then Hugh Lamaster, I'll recognize you, 50-year service pin, so congrats to you. Yeah, half a century.
He joined when he was 5, right?
Pretty much. It's always good to recognize everybody. We had about 92 people in attendance at the center station, so thanks to everybody that came out to that. The last thing I have is just kind of an update. I just met with my area fire chiefs just a few minutes ago, and we discussed what's going on in Wales. I can't get into politics over there or anything like that, but it was unanimous that all the area departments were going to support Wales, just like we always done as far as mutual aid agreements. So nothing's going to change. If it becomes too burdensome or beyond our resources, then we'll be discussing things with our own individual towns. So we'll keep you guys updated. But that's all I got. That's questions.
And did I understand right that there's no time limit on burn permits with the state system?
Yeah, so if you get a burning permit, you can get it during the daytime or evening, and it's good till 9 o'clock the next morning. So it's good throughout the night. Supposed to, monitor the fire, if it's just smoldering ashes, it's not windy. Technically, your permit's good till the next day. Permit needs to be obtained. Any other questions? Be careful on that island.
Don't have to tell me twice.
I was just gonna go over, you'll know what's going on. We bid out our fuel through Maine Power Options, which is a statewide organization. It's under the Maine Bond Bank. So they've been pushing it back because of all the, the things going on in the Middle East. So, but they finally had to bid it out so people could plan. It's not as bad as Tony and I anticipated, but I figured I'd just read off so number 2 oil is going to be $3.24. Propane will be $1.79. Gasoline is $2.99, and diesel is going to be $3.52 for the fiscal year 27. So starting July 1st, that'll be our new rates. We were very concerned that they'd be much worse, but I don't think that's too bad considering what we're dealing with right now. So other than that, tax payments have been coming in. The town office has been extremely busy this week. The ladies out front have been doing a fantastic job trying to, just deal with the influx of people. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are we all caught up on paying back the revenue anticipation loan?
No, so the plan is that we've been paying, last month we paid 200,000, but we're on schedule to pay about 100,000 a month until June, which is when the loan is due in June 30th. So we're kind of managing cash until then.
And would you care to?
We're on track to pay.
Okay.
We're all set.
Would you care to tell us what the process was for making the arrangements to contract for swim lessons at
Sure.
Town Beach this summer?
Sure. So the contract price was $3,000. We contracted it through the Y. There really are not vendors out there to do that. $3,000 is well below the department head approval expenditure. They can approve up to $5,000 without even asking me. And anything over 25,000 requires a formal bid process, but under that, it's my jurisdiction, and then under the 5,000, department heads can hire who they think is in the best interest of operating the department. So Mike reached out to the Y, who also provides the same service to the town of Winthrop, and that's how we came to that. And we also have a meeting next week. I'll let Mike, I'll just mention it now while we're talking about the Y. We're meeting next week with the Y to talk about all kinds of things, like what it is that they might be able to offer to our town, to the town of Winthrop, to the whole community, just trying to figure it out. Some people may know or may not know, but Winthrop is going through a transition. They've had a organization called the Winthrop YMCA for nearly 40 years. That relationship has ended. So they are trying to figure out how to manage their rec programs without that third-party support. So we're just trying to coordinate to see if there's anything that we might be able to, value add for our community doing that forward. But we're still in very early discussions about what that might look like. So basically the KVY is reaching sort of into our region because of that collapse of that relationship between the Winthrop Y and Winthrop. The KVY is now sort of reaching in this direction. So we're just seeing what that might mean for us. Maybe nothing, maybe something. Just so you know while we're talking about it.
Really a great loss, really for very active and
Yep.
a lot of stuff.
They've just decided to focus their attention on the YMCA camp that's in Winthrop and not do that servicing, where they have a longtime employee who's retiring, and they just chose to take this as an opportunity to just kind of sever that relationship with Winthrop. It's not in their core function for their organization, so they're just ending it at this point.
Where are we on the audit?
We have paid them the deposits that they requested for both of the audits, and we don't have a time scheduled yet for them to engage. They have our pre-audit information already, so we sent that, but I don't have a firm commitment from them about when they will engage us.
And how about the second year that we're asking the audit? been able to produce the pre-audit stuff?
We can't produce a pre-audit on the following year until the current year, until the last one is completed. It's like a,
Yep, domino.
Yeah.
Okay. Did we execute the contract with the trail vendor?
yes. Not with the vendor, with the state. I haven't seen a draft contract from the vendor. My last suggestion with, it was either Chris or Chuck, I can't remember who I responded to, was to ask them to reach out to the selected vendor and see if they had a boilerplate to start with, and then we can send that to our council to make sure that it covers all our bases.
I haven't had a chance to talk with them. But I know that there was a walkthrough with that vendor like last Friday.
Yes.
So some members of the committee went and kind of scoped out the project on the ground.
Yep.
So they're starting.
So the contract with the grant has been signed. I've signed that. That was held up just a slight amount because the state somehow figured out that we changed our mailing address from the PO box to the town office. So they needed us to reapply for a new state vendor code, and that took like 2 months. So we couldn't complete any contracts with the state. But that all got cleared up this week. So.
Could you say what the bid prices were for the oil, for the heating oil? And I think propane and.
Yes, you can have that if you'd like.
All right, thank you.
It's the email I sent to the department head so they all know what they were looking at.
Thank you. That's it?
That's it.
You're done.
I'm done.
Next is select board reports.
I just had one thing, after being on Zoom for 3 months, I noticed during the meetings, there's comments or questions that kind of pop up. And we don't really, sometimes we see them here, sometimes we don't, but I don't know how those get addressed or if those should only be addressed during public comment or, but over the months, there's a lot of, someone named Joe asks a lot of questions, but he doesn't seem to ever get any answers. So I feel bad for Joe that's not getting his question, but I'm not sure if we can handle that.
Well, we could handle it during public comment. Answer any question.
We really shouldn't be allowing typed comments into Zoom. It's a violation of FOA. We'd have to produce all of that. It's the same argument that I've made about Facebook.
Right.
We are openly violating FOA rules on our Facebook because we don't have the social media policy. We also should not be allowing people to make comments on here. Unrelated to the comment that you're making, 2 weeks ago after our last meeting, I noticed that people were posting things up there and they were, so I've turned them off. So they're not able to be done right now. If you want to change that, that's fine. It's just going to be one more thing that we have to produce for FOA records. So we have to keep it as a part of the record, and we really shouldn't be because it's the equivalent, according to the town's attorney, it's the equivalent of 2 people in the back of the room here while you're having a meeting, having a discussion that you're unaware of, and then having us incorporate that into the public record. It's really not appropriate.
Why don't we, is there a way we can just disclose that we're not going to be accepting written comments?
I'm not sure if there's a way to put an auto reply on there. We can look into that. I'm not a Zoom expert, but I can look into it.
Oh, that, or just like when we send out the Zoom link, maybe just say this is.
At the bottom of the agenda? Yeah, that would be fine.
This is not, I mean, you can make verbal comments, but you can't make written comments.
Right.
Yep.
And then at least we're not ignoring or.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to ignore people.
Asking
Yeah,
questions.
the first time I noticed it was when we were doing the public hearing for the police consolidation.
Yeah.
And somebody in the audience knew somebody that was typing on there, and I never even considered it. And they had asked a question, and at that meeting, because it was a public hearing, we tried to incorporate it because we didn't have any solution to it, and we were trying to be open or whatever. But then I realized it, so I turned it off here. So it hasn't been available last week, or it's not available this week
Just,
either.
if you want to make comments, you need to do it on camera. That's all.
Right. Yep, that's a good question.
That's all I had.
I understand there was, the number of candidates for select board is now final. Where do we stand on that?
It will be final tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow.
People can still, up till the 16th.
October 16th.
Right now, there are 5.
Last I knew from the clerk.
A little birdie told me that there might be some interest in hosting a candidate night. Because we have so many candidates.
Dennis has said that he's open to trying to host that if that's something that people are interested in.
I think it makes sense to me.
He did it, he was getting somebody from probably out of town to moderate that. That was his suggestion.
Sure.
He knows somebody that's done it in other communities, so it wouldn't be Dennis moderating it. It would be somebody that doesn't live here or doesn't work here.
Is it possible we could do it at the conclusion of a select board meeting so that folks who are already in attendance for the meeting can stay and we can adjourn the meeting and just leave the Zoom on and people can see what they need to see, ask questions on camera, yada, yada?
I think that would be up to you, whether you think it's appropriate to append it to a select board meeting or whether it should be a completely separate event. It's the candidates that are actually running are the ones that kind of have to agree to participate.
Well, I mean,
More than anything.
we can offer them the opportunity. If they don't, it's fine. Thoughts?
I think it would be late for some folks, if our meeting went to 8 o'clock, how long is that gonna go? Probably even 7:30, so. I mean, I obviously not sitting there, so, but having it kind of be earlier in the evening, even if it was, started at 6:30, so maybe a different night.
We
Just
could do a
because
speed meeting.
we don't know how, long our meeting will be or what we've got on the agenda, so hard to say. So that's just my initial impressions.
I think it would be better if we go to 6 o'clock.
The only, I mean, things change and I know it's a long ways out, but just to kind of, the only thing that I know of that is going to be timely for your May 13th meeting is going to be the last 3 appeals that Donna has for your Board of Assessors. So if you so choose, you could just hold a Board of Assessors meeting at 5:45 and then forego whatever you wanted. You could forego the regular meeting if you wanted to and have the candidates night be at 6 or 6:30 or whatever you want. That's my only
Make it a
comment.
I mean, if we have to approve a warrant or something, we could just do that and adjourn.
Yep, that would be fine.
Something else to consider, the last little forum we had at Cumston Hall, and Taylor and I just sat and talked with people. That might not be a bad idea to hold another one of those before the election in June. And maybe you could do it at the same time. You might draw a bunch of people out. If you did that the same night, you spent a little bit of time with let the candidates do whatever, and then have a question and answer session with a couple of the board members.
Sure.
Would you like to do that in the theater space?
Maybe it would be bad. I mean, I don't know how many people, we might get a lot of people out, to ask questions. So yeah, maybe it would be best. And if we did it on a night other than on a board meeting night.
Do we yet have Zoom capability in Cumston?
Limited. We just don't have the microphones is the problem. You can't hear the audience. That's the problem in here.
You could set up some microphones, right?
I don't know what the capacity is. I don't know what we own. I would have to check with Dennis about what's possible over there.
Well, we've got a little bit of time.
I think it'd be good to, do another review of the warrant, just so everyone knows, because yeah, we did it last meeting and stuff, but just in case people have follow-up questions about what is going to be on. It's pretty long warrant. I know when I was going through, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna forget half this. I'm gonna have to read it again.
Shorter than it's been in past years.
Yeah.
We're down to 31 questions. That's pretty good. Because there's no capital request.
Capital
Yeah,
expenditures.
people are gonna have to budget a lot of time to vote, But it'd be a good idea.
I'm open.
Taylor and I have done it, and I'm happy to do it again, but if there's someone else that wants to sit and talk with people, then that's fine too.
It was very informative.
I think the people that were there enjoyed.
What did we have? Like 40 people stayed after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair amount.
date.
You give
The
me,
big thing is.
if it's gonna be in the theater, you have to give me a couple, because I have to check with Dennis, because I don't know what.
And let's find out about the microphone stuff.
MCPs in there.
Yeah,
So I don't know if you.
so it would be an
Or
evening
not.
time, I would say midweek evening time, so like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So normally 2 weeks on the 29th of April would be our select board meeting, which we don't have one. Maybe that would be a good night to,
Works for me.
Are you, just to clarify, are you hoping that it's more like the last one where it's kind of freewheeling? Because if it is, if it's freewheeling like that and there's no town business, then it's really two of you, just like it was last time. That can speak more. It's not a select board meeting. So if you're all going to be there, it turns into a select board meeting, which needs to follow normal decorum and all that. It kind of like limits your ability to.
Is April 29 close enough to the election? Because the election isn't until a month.
June 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could certainly move out further too. I mean, we could move, I just thought that was, that's a night that people would normally be coming to a select board meeting.
Sure.
And then from there, we got 2 more weeks. I mean, we could do this, the 6th, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be a Wednesday. And I definitely think, yeah, we only want 2 people there. So it can just be kind of the.
Kind of freewheeling.
Yep.
So how does that work with quorum if you're gonna have people that are running, plus people from the select board? That's more than.
They're not
They're not
select board
seated.
members.
They don't, they're not.
They're just townspeople at this point. They're candidates, but they're not, they wouldn't be part of a quorum.
So I would, the election is on the 9th.
That's correct.
Kind of thinking like Wednesday, the 3rd, like a week before the election would be sort of the time that people are going to be most curious to get information.
Or think we're on the high school and that with last night, so.
June 3rd.
And I
It
think
is kind
that
of close, isn't it?
Tam's in by then. I think Tam comes in.
Right, so you may have to do it here.
Okay.
Because
I mean, that's
Tam comes
okay.
in
It's just a
beginning
matter
of
of-
June.
So I would say, June 2nd, 3rd, or 4th would be sort of the most relevant time for citizens who are thinking about what they're gonna do on the following Tuesday.
Fine with me.
You want to get back to us? June 2nd, 3rd, or 4th?
Yeah, I can, if you're gonna have it here, I can look at the calendar, because that's what it's gonna control.
How does that
Well,
work?
I mean, we can,
Already voted.
you guys can move people too. You are the select board. It's your building.
You got mail-in ballots that have already voted by that.
Well, they can start pulling ballots almost in a week or two. What is it, May, the first week in? Right.
Oh.
That's always the case when you do.
yeah. And if someone wants to mail in a ballot, then they can mail in a ballot and be done with it. I think, if someone wants to wait and get more information, they don't have to vote. It's not a requirement for them to vote early. It's just an opportunity.
The 6th, the Anabesic Lake Association is in this room, but
Okay.
other than that, that's it, that week.
Well, my preference would be to, if Compton is available on one of those nights, to hold it there, because I suspect we might run out of seats in this room. So maybe you could touch base with Dennis and see what we're capable of in terms of technology and allowing people to participate and observe via Zoom.
If it doesn't work, we'll come up with something else.
Yeah, I'm gonna send Dennis something right now, so.
Okay,
Is there anybody that wants to volunteer to do it?
I'll do it with you.
Is there anybody else that wants to do it? I don't mind, but if there's anyone else that wants,
Watching either, so whatever people.
We'll flip a coin.
yeah, I don't.
Is the idea to do like a candidates night / like at one thing? Is that what you're kind of?
Have a warrant
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand.
A
what you're
ballot
doing.
conversation,
Just an open
open forum to
Conversation.
ask question and answer on the.
everything, anything.
So there'll be a moderator or something who'll be asking the questions.
For candidates, I think having a third-party person who's not from town is probably a good idea.
Yeah, and just the open question thing doesn't really need a moderator. I mean.
No, I think it could just be two of us that.
Yes, two people just having a conversation with taxpayers.
Yeah.
You're thinking all the candidates will be there, will be able to be there.
Well, they'll all be invited, whether they decide to participate or not, it's up to them. Yeah, we can have Jessica reach out to each one of them. Okay. This is an opportunity to.
Okay, on to public comment. Yes, sir.
Two or three things, if you allow me. If not, that's fine. First one is the transfer station fees. Appears to be an error here unless I'm in error, so one of us is when it comes to the wood pile. Take a 5-foot pickup bed, level is $35. Take a 5-foot utility trailer, $75. Because it's $15 a linear foot. There's a problem with the math, unless there's a problem with my math. That needs to be fixed.
Is a utility trailer the same width as a truck bed?
When you measure linear feet, it has nothing to do with width or height. Linear feet is a foot in a straight line.
That's the way it's worded.
That's what I say, linear feet. Linear foot is not the problem, height that's the problem. You're not using, not apples and apples here. Plus the fact, we're not talking about even height, because the utility trailer is usually 10 or 12 inches on the sideboard. Pickup truck is anywhere 20 inches up to 24. Big difference in the amount of product you're hauling in there. So I suspect you could make a change in that. I don't know, I'm not suggesting how you word it, because that's your business, but that needs to be fixed. Another thing in relation to that is, and I've had a couple of, actually two people ask me about this. If the homeowner is doing a project in his own house and he develops a small tote scrap wood, is that $35 or can he possibly dump that because he pays exorbitant taxes at no charge? It's not addressed. Comment?
I mean, I guess, if it's a tub of wood, I don't think that we had addressed, a small.
My assumption was some of it was still gonna be left to the discretion of the employees at the
Yeah.
transfer station.
Exactly.
See, that's not, it's good, Mark, but that's different people now you're talking about. Each person has a different opinion, understandably. And they address the prices differently. I've been doing that dump long time, transfer station, excuse me.
We call it the Department of, what is it? The Department of Unwanted Material Possession.
We could just, I just asking
The
that,
prices.
pointing these things out that are inconsistent. So you address them, I'd appreciate that. Second, am I allowed more than one item here?
Address the chair.
This is a schedule of the number of times I tried to make an appointment with Donna Hayes. You can't read it from there, but there's 4 different times. I gave up finally. Twice on the phone, twice in person at the town office the last time, and I'm sure she did it. Put my name and number, and said she'd personally deliver the message. 4 times, no return call. What the hell? Okay, well,
Was there a third
can I
item?
get one? Was suppose? Or is it too late now? I mean, I tried the whole of last year to get it done. And one thing I'm not gonna do, I'm not gonna go up there and sit the day she appears, so somebody can see me. Because I have just as much to do as everybody else, okay?
If you'd like to pass that on to me, I can make sure she
That's
gets it.
fine, and make an appointment. Because I know, I've had friends that have had appointments and had visits with her. But not me. I could get that corrected, maybe. The last thing I'm gonna bring up tonight, I know you got a lot going on, I don't need to sit here and blab. Read that thing about the joining of the two police departments. And, that's all well and good. The thing that I thought was missing was a public hearing after all the information has been collected as to what it would cost us. Because from what I read is the select board is gonna kind of decide what that's gonna be. I would prefer the townspeople deciding what it's gonna be.
I would say that the town doesn't have the authority to negotiate in good faith until it's given the opportunity to do it. So we don't. The town of Winthrop operates under a council form of government, so they can decide whatever they want to do. Here, Monmouth can't negotiate with Winthrop in good faith if the select board doesn't have any authority to make any decisions. So when it comes to consolidation, they can't commit any amount of financial resources or anything without the town, right? So the question is trying to give them the authority so that they can negotiate terms with the town of Winthrop to create a joint police department. So that's what the question is trying to, and that's fine.
There's tons of things you guys do that you have to negotiate. But the townspeople have the last word. I mean, 7 pages over here where the townspeople got the last word. I mean, you ought to be able to provide them with the information as to what the costs are going to be. But then, here it is. Because my experience with consolidation is 2 things occur. One is you lose control. The second is it costs more money. So I'd like to be proven wrong about both of them. I've watched it happen. I'm older than dirt, so I've watched it happen a lot. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Leonard, just make sure you give Justin the information so he can make sure Donna gets in touch with you. Okay? And just have,
My phone number and name.
yeah, I know, but that way Justin has it. Because if Justin hasn't had it before,
I'd
then
be more than happy to do that.
for sure.
If you want.
And I'm sure that maybe somebody else has your phone number. You've got Leonard's phone number, I bet.
I think it's important that, we take a second look at some of the nooks and crannies of the pricing system that we've approved, because I've gotten also some feedback about some inconsistencies. Maybe we forgot a certain category of this, that, or the other thing. And I think maybe the way to go about it is to talk to the folks at the Department of Unwanted Material Possession.
Put it on your.
Yeah, talk to those guys, because they get all these questions and they're like, well, I don't really have a category for this, so we're gonna go with that. Maybe we need to create a category.
Issue.
Well, I hear you, that
Questions about certain things down there that they haven't really been, they would be the ones that know the answer to that, right?
and Leonard, I do hear your question, and we will get it fixed.
I almost went.
We're laughing at
He
him.
almost
will help you and you. Feed that foot. I got another one.
Any other public comment? Yes.
I want to start off by saying after last select board meeting, I had decided to leave the 1856 Academy topic alone. But since then, the 1856 Academy Committee had a meeting and it was riddled with so many lies and misinformation. I can't just sit here, let the lies be told to the taxpayer. I provided the select board with documents to show the grant they had applied for could not be matched with taxpayers' funds. After reviewing the footage in the meeting, a member of the board looked at their phone for exactly 7 seconds in the whole meeting then stated that they read the whole bill about the grant and proceeded to inform everybody that the documents had showed was misinformation. Again, go back and watch it, 7 seconds. It would take you longer to type the Google search than it would for the amount of time the individual looked at his phone. I have brought more documents and the statutes of the Historic Building Grant Manual, which is the first thing you should read when you apply for a grant. The 1856 committee mentioned that the information I was introducing was misinformation and misleading. I have not presented anything that I do not have documents, receipts, or proof for. However, members of the select board and the 1856 committee just keep misinforming and misleading with no proof other than their words or opinions. Now they're trying to silence people on Facebook, in the meetings, and at the select board meetings. Certain individuals are trying to censor the information that I am trying to present. I have not personally been attacking anybody individually, just showing the non-transparency and dishonesty amongst both boards. However, I have been attacked verbally by members of the audience and members of the select board about presenting information. If you're a member of either board, you should be okay with answering questions, whether they are difficult or not, and whether you like the question or not. I was advised months ago to start being more present during town meetings. I wanted to do something about the uncontrollable tax increase in town. Members of the audience said I had an axe to grind and that I would not be around long. Well, just to inform you, I'm still here. People trying to silence people showing the wrongdoing is a disgrace to the democracy. When I went back and looked at the select board video, on average, there was 45 to 50 people who viewed them after months of being on YouTube. Now, since I have been presenting stuff to the board, there seems to be a lot more attendance, both at the meetings and YouTube. 2 weeks ago, meeting had 16 people in the audience and 16 people on Zoom. The biggest attendance I have seen in the last 8 months. If you go back and look at the views on the select board meeting, average is 40 to 50. Now it's 100 to 150. So if the only thing we gain out of this is more people attending and paying attention, I consider it a win. But back to the topic of misinformation and misleading. A month or so ago, the select board meeting had addressed the mold in the basement of the 1856 building. It was stated that the remediation of the mold was budgeted to be done in the next phase of the project. But when the person asked it during the academy meeting, they straight up lied to them and told them there was no mold in the building. Just walk in the building and you'll smell it on the first floor without even going into the basement. Again, this stuff was brought up after last meeting, so it is why it's fresh on my mind. Then you have other members of the academy stating it will be free to use to taxpayers. Then not even a week later, they're stating there'll be fees for the residents. If all this wasn't enough, yes, the people forget that they're being recorded, because towards the end of the academy meeting, it is mentioned that the people bringing these facts to light are just a bunch of rich people in town complaining. Also, they even had a conversation about how we should not be invited to their open house of the 1856 Academy, and they are not to engage with us. Yes, you can only engage with people who want the same views as them. Yes, that's the way it works in this town. And if you'd like, I can have all the documents, copies for each one of you board members of all the emails, if you're interested, and the grant application, and actually the way it was worded to the people who voted on it of the state of Maine. Read the way that it states. This is the way the people of Maine decided. This was the question on the ballot. Do you favor for a $10 million bond issued to restore historic building owned by governmental and nonprofit organizations, with funds being issued contingent on 25% local match required from either private or nonprofit sources? It was right in the question that was asked to the people of Maine. Doesn't matter what the legislation says, doesn't matter what bills say, doesn't matter anything. Then if you go to the grant, historic grant building, and go to page 17, says the same thing that they said in the, I mean, again, 3 times that it's clear. Then there's a statute. You guys didn't want to hear it. Certain people in the audience said that this can't happen. Certain other people said that they've done more grants than me. I've never done a grant, but I think I have more information right now than most of the people who spoke up at that meeting. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I had a comment I meant to make during select board, but I forgot. So I've been in contact with one of the coordinators for Gardner's Swine and Stein because I want to bring a beer fest to Monmouth. And she and I are hopefully meeting up in the next couple weeks in person. We've both been traveling and stuff. So when I was here, she wasn't. And when she was here, I wasn't. But hopefully I will have some headway on that potentially. I'm hoping for the fall to do an event. I just want to let people know that I have been talking to a representative from Gardner about that because it's a pretty popular event.
I feel obligated to point out one thing about Article 21, I think it is. Based on the language that I had inserted in Article 21, if the committee is unsuccessful in using what we have offered to them as seed money, then that seed money gets returned to the taxpayers. So if they're not going to qualify for this historic preservation grant, then the one, by the way, whose rules have yet to be written, then that money will simply be returned to taxpayers. In the meantime, they'll still have seed money available to qualify for the $500,000 that it sounds like Susan Collins' office might be able to secure for this bill.
Yes.
Can I respond to that? The rules that haven't been written are for the application process, not for where the money comes from and who it goes to. And that is in the email, as you read right there. I think it's on the second page of it. And then as far as, it's not the fact that it gets returned, it's the fact that you're asking for it under false pretense.
There's no false pretense, sir. And I take exception with that. Yes, I do. It's not false pretense because we made it very clear in that discussion that if the committee is unsuccessful at qualifying for the money that we are giving them, loaning them, then it gets returned to the taxpayers. It's that simple. And by the way, the language of that is specific. It says we're loaning it to them because we're going to be selling the other part of the parcel in order to reimburse the taxpayers. So let's be clear. If they don't qualify, they don't get the money. It goes back to the taxpayers. If they do qualify, then we're going to pay the taxpayers back when the project is finished by privatizing this side of the property. There's one more thing you should know. If we had not put that ballot question, if that ballot question were not there, we would have a very substantial citizen volunteer committee that we are making impossible for them to finish their project, a project they've been working on for 6 years. They've got ideas. They've got some opportunities. Why would we not support them if in the end, it doesn't cost the taxpayers anything? And yet it helps them finish this project. We've done that for other committees. We did that for the Trails Committee, where we sponsored seed money. We did that for the water project in North Monmouth, where we sponsored seed money, didn't change anyone's tax rate. And those projects were very successful. So why would we not do that for a committee of volunteers who spent the last 6 years getting 2/3 of the way done with the building? And they've got some ideas and some opportunities. If we were not to put that on the ballot, that would stand in their way and be an obstacle. And that is not something I'm prepared to do.
Brian.
Let me tell you why we shouldn't put it on the ballot, Ken.
It's
Guys,
already
you gotta
on
take
the
this-
ballot. It's already
It's just
on
time.
the ballot, so it's not, it's a moot point. It's,
Why are we letting her? You got practical.
Point of order. Plan A failed miserably. Everyone's taxes were affected by it. If you just stand up there and say,
It didn't cost anybody money. It's another lot. And for you to say that you're being honest, that's not true either, because this plan had many phases, but you didn't tell everybody about. It's just been an ongoing, inconsistent truth with you, all of you. And it keeps coming back to more. And that's why we wouldn't give the opportunity, because we gave you the opportunity and you failed.
Any other comment?
240 now corner, 73-year-old people with extreme headache.
Who's the scanner?
248 now.
Any other public comment? Okay, on to consider updating town beach rules and beach pass application.
Are you taking the lead on this, Mike?
I think I'll answer any questions. Did you want a quick update just for rec stuff? Because I know that was introduced in the beginning. For those who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Mike Griswold. I work as the rec director here in Monmouth. Just where we are right now, I think the last time I joined was back in February. So we had wrapped up all of our spring programs, both the cheer and wrestling. But all eyes are on summer right now. And one of the things that we had just released earlier this month was all of our summer programs, which on April 1st, the goal initially was to have 3 to 5 new week-long specialized camps to offer for the community. Right now we're at 7. So those 7 that we have right now that span throughout the course of the summer, which is all available on our website. We have a brand new youth golf camp that's going through Cobbossee Colony Golf Course. And that was open 48 hours ago and it's completely full. So we're entertaining whether or not we can try to get another session added on there because it was very popular. We also have boys basketball camp with Wade Morrill, girls basketball camp with Coach Keith DeRoseby, youth wrestling with Sean Schultz and Kevin Fox. We have a cheer camp with Nikki Stevens and Emily Greenwald. We also have co-ed soccer, which is with Joe Fletcher, Haley, and Audrey Fletcher. And then a brand new camp, which is a PE camp with the PE teacher, Nate Poulin, down at the Memorial School. So it's not all the camps we might have this summer. There's always different things that are being explored. But just really proud to say that in year summer 1, we have 7 new camps to speak from. We also have our 7-week swim lesson program, which is open as well. So that's all on our website. The public announcement that I make is we are hiring for lifeguards and beach attendants. We've received a lot of inquiries about the application process, and for those who might be interested, we're just waiting on formal applications to actually be submitted. So we're hoping that April break may be a great time in which we see a number of applicants come through. So I'm going to circle back to the beach in just a moment. We're also looking at restoring some of the work out here at the playground area, where this playground, as many people know, was built back in 2009. It needs a lot of work in TLC, not just with the structures itself. The gentleman, Eric Wenzel, built it back in 2009. He and I met. We actually saw each other again at a recent conference. So he's coming back out soon, but the structures itself is actually okay. There are some bolts and some tensions that need to be adjusted, but we are needing to get out a lot of growth in and around the playground area, around the fence line. So a lot of erosion control. There's also new wood chips that we need to put in there, certified safe wood chips. And then we're looking to resurface the court out here and stripe it with some new pickleball and basketball lines. So we're finalizing some quote processes. We're hoping that we might be able to have as close to a finished product as we can by the time school lets out. Because I think that this will help aid the usage, not only of this space for passive recreation, but then things that we might want to organize as actual programs, especially we're looking at this building here, whether it be like rental opportunities for the community, birthday parties, you can see where the outside can complement the inside as well. So that's a big project that we're trying to take on, and the addition of the beach. I know Kayla and Darlene serve on the rec committee with me, but I just didn't know if there was anything that you want to update that's kind of loosely related to your roles and the idea of rec and with the age-friendly community. Good. Awesome.
We have a good, great, robust committee, which is wonderful because we have a lot. What do we have? Nine community members. So it's a really good, it's a great kind of generational as well as age group. As well as, backgrounds for all of them as well.
And one of the things, I know I mentioned this before, but I think I want to keep it all in scope is that, well, it might sound like these are all strictly all athletic programs. They're the easiest low-hanging fruit opportunities that are part of some of the established programs that we have in Monmouth. One of the things that we're really trying to tackle as a committee is really looking again at infancy to senior age as to how can we really fill in some of the pockets that need to be, both on the youth and family scale, looking at our trails, how can we engage the community more in our systems and outdoor recreation opportunities, but also looking at different arts programs and again, how do these spaces, the facilities, how can they help elevate those type of services that we're looking to build? As I mentioned before, we're kind of building the plane as we fly it, which is fun in its own right too. But I did see that you had a hand up.
How much do you think it's gonna cost to fix that up so it's usable? Yeah.
Right, so there's different phases. So the first phase that we're looking at is the landscaping that's needed. Because if you walk out there right now, it's kind of back to a bare base as far as not really having much wood chips. The cleanup itself, and then also looking at the playground structure. You're anywhere between $6,000 to $8,000 just on that alone, just on the initial quotes.
Give me a ballpark from start to finish.
If we were to put in, if everything was done, including timber framing, resurfacing the court, it would be roughly about $12,000, $13,000.
And why would we need that when we have the schools over here with really nice playgrounds? And then there's something at the beach? How many playgrounds do we need?
Well, so the school is, as far as during the school year, that property is not, and that can be corrected, is not intended to be used during the school days.
Correct.
When I come in here and I look at things with fresh eyes and looking about like how can we elevate our services and the facilities, the number of people that actually use this is, I wouldn't say it's high, but it receives usage. And that's a safety concern for me. I also kind of cringe a little bit looking
Maybe
at
you should shut it off then so people aren't using it.
I mean, that would be something that would
We
be up to
can't,
the.
that playground back here was a federal grant.
I know it was part of it.
Okay, so we either have to maintain it or we have to move it somewhere else so that it can be
I was
used.
told it couldn't be moved because it wasn't federal money.
If we move it, we have to purchase another piece of property, is my understanding,
But it can't be moved to one of the schools.
to reconstruct it somewhere. I don't believe so. I believe it has to be a town-owned parcel. The schools are not town-owned. I mean, it
So maybe
seems like it,
Taking
but
it down to the beach.
We already own the beach.
We already own the.
We already
beach. You
own
have
Have
to,
to Purchase a property.
yes, you would have to
Under the
purchase
federal rules.
property that,
A new property.
new property that's not already owned by the town.
It's not a bad idea.
Just Grove Street.
It's not a bad idea, although I think we'd probably make more money by selling Grove Street than.
So we're still in the information gathering process and I do realize that there might be phases that we hit. Some are easier to hit right off the bat than others. The playground itself and getting wood chips is one that feels like the appropriate first one to do because you figure if you're gonna resurface this area, it's better to do that after. But it is also the easiest thing you can do for the immediate usage. Especially as we're looking at opportunity for more like pickleball and for like basketball and such. But again, I wanted this building to be utilized for rentals. And I think having a quality outdoor space fully helps benefit what this space can be utilized as well. So
So for rentals, would taxpayers have to pay for that, or is it gonna be like the old MA building that we get free?
So that would be a discussion that we would have as the rec committee. So looking at like Compton Hall, I'm familiar, we haven't looked at like pricing or anything like that at this stage. I'm just familiar that if anybody wants to use Compton Hall, Dennis does have a pricing structure for residents and non-residents. So we would make sure that we evaluate what's already in the community to make those decisions. And again, that would be using the voices and advisory voices from the committee as well to inform me how to best execute that. So I'll hopefully be able to report some more just about the status.
And these are things that you already put into, either they'll be using the budget that you have through the end of this June, or you put them into the budget for 2026, 27.
Right, because we do have a building repairs line.
How much is in there?
From what I understand, I want to say it's close to about $5,000 in that line and about, I don't know, Justin, if you have anything available right in front of you, but it's roughly about $3,800 is left in just that line. But there are other lines that can help support different aspects of the project. So kind of bringing the scope back into the beach, but before I do, is there any other questions I can help answer about programs? All right, so up on the table over here is a few different documents. What we're aiming to do for tonight, which is going to help me to be able to really kind of roll out the plan for the community and how I can best present some of the information, but also just some of the changes that are coming to the beach, is that there's a beach pass application form that we have up here. So the rec committee and I have been working since really the early part of, was the late fall, where we decided that this was going to be one of the big projects out of the gate that this committee is going to help out with, particularly with building out the appendices of our town beach ordinance. And if you look at the appendices, one of the things that it asks us to do was to build out this beach pass application, also look at the event reservation form process, and also to eventually look at building out a map for the beach itself. So the first thing I wanted to go over was the beach pass application. And I'd be happy to go at the base of the select board too, as far as what's the most helpful information to give and how to walk through this. But our beach pass application is really, it's really grounded in the idea of really looking at our user management protocols. Utilizing the feedback from the rec committee and really listening to the voices, the history, but also what is desired and building this beach back is, first of all, looking at usage for Monmouth residents, but also non-resident taxpayers of Monmouth. That those two categories would be able to utilize the town beach at no cost. So again, it's Monmouth residents, non-resident taxpayers would use the beach at no cost. What we talked about is being able to institute a fee for anyone who is truly non-resident of Monmouth to utilize the beach. And so what we did is we mirrored a little bit of what Reedfield is doing, and if you read through our ordinances, it's very similar as well. Is right now what is being proposed, and this is what's up for discussion for tonight, is a non-resident pass. If somebody wanted to use it for the entirety of the beach season, which right now what we have is Gauge, which is a 10-week staff season of June 15th through August 21st, that the cost for a full season would be $100, but that would include the couples and their unmarried dependent children living in the household or grandchildren. And underneath that, there's a guest pass structure that anybody who is non-resident, what we would have is it would be a $5 single adult guest pass fee. Any children that might be with them would be of no cost. So what we really felt, and again in our conversations, is we don't really have metrics on the beach to really know how many residents are using the beach in a given summer, but also non-residents. And we really want to be able to build that out and have some more evidence-based practices based on how many people are using the beach, but then also reinvesting into the beach as well. So the way in which we're trying to roll that out is utilizing beach attendance. And there's a document that I had, I believe was in the packet as well. It's kind of it's a draft, but it's a 1-page, just beach access and provision rules. So it helps identify, again, what the process is for residents and non-taxpaying residents versus what it would be for non-residents. Yes.
What would you consider a non-resident?
Somebody who does not pay taxes in Monmouth.
So they could own a property here, pay taxes, contribute to the.
That's a non-resident taxpayer, yes.
But that would be free.
In the eyes of that, yes.
If anyone pays taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what that means is that with having beach attendants, that's how we really are able to execute and have a little bit more of that management down at the beach to actually exercise. How do we find out who are actual residents and true non-residents? And so what we have right now as some drafted provisions is that anybody who comes to the town beach, and of course, in this year one, there's gonna be things that we learn, but beach attendants are gonna be able to know, especially with repeat users, you know, who's who, who's resident and who's not. But what they are gonna be asked to do is that when people come down to the beach, that we do wanna have, especially if you're a resident or a non-resident taxpayer, just be ready to show evidence of one of the 4 following things. One could be Monmouth Transfer Station window sticker. It has to be a valid sticker. One could be a copy of the vehicle registration. One could be your driver's license or any documentation confirming that you are a non-resident taxpayer and proving that status. So what that means is that the access for non-residents is that if it's shown that they are truly, that they don't have any documentation or it proves that they are a true non-resident, what they would have to do is they would have to fill out a beach application form, and they have the option, they can pay a day pass, or they can consider a different option if they look for more regular usage, where it might behoove them to actually look at a full seasonal pass, or maybe even a weekly pass as well. So we're planning on having this document down at the beach for people to fill out. We also want to create a mechanism for having everything be accessed online as well. So I talked with Tony at Public Works about trying to create a sign that has a QR code that will send people directly to our website so that not only can they access this form and review it, but also submit payment on site electronically. And I'd be working with the beach attendants too, that there may be opportunity in which we can handle a transaction on site, but we really want to limit that as much as possible, just so we can keep sure that every dollar and every cent is properly accounted for. So that's the beach application in a nutshell. I was gonna let Darlene and Kate.
When we looked at Reed Field and what their actual non-resident, it was what, they had 15 or
Yeah, so
20 that they sold in a year. It was not.
it was nominal. It was like 11 full season passes. Day passes were a lot more popular.
Right.
They actually, I don't believe that they're doing as generously as us in the fact that we don't want money to be a barrier. And is that if somebody comes in from out of town and they're looking for one singular day, and let's say it's a family of 4, I feel it's of the position that I don't really want to charge the kids to be able to use it. We would just charge the amount of adults they would have in their singular party, and all the kids would be able to come under their supervision.
We don't want to be beach police. We just want to or make the people that work down there beach police. We want to just be able to restrict use based on that. And Reed Field didn't have a huge amount of it. And with the season passes, they wanted the day passes. So we tried to make that.
We want to make it as easy as possible
Right.
for residents too. And again, as our staff is more familiar with residents as well, it's going to be a lot easier.
So is the Monmouth transfer station and the Wales transfer station down, are they the same?
So what I have noted in here, and correct me if I'm wrong, are they 2 different colors?
No, they're 2 different colors.
Okay, and then who's gonna be policing all this down there? Some teenagers?
So we're really at this, we're hoping for the best qualified people that can do it. Right now, I can't speak to any of the applicants that we have, because there's very few.
You're gonna have someone that could be from 5 a.m. till, what was it, 8 p.m?
No, that's not the staffing hours. They're gonna vary. In fact, one of the things that was talked about in our committee was doing our best to try to be as flexible with those who are actually going to be available to help execute the job of the beach attendant. So we have to see who we have first and then what we're able to staff within it.
So if you don't have anyone from 5 a.m. till 9 a.m, anyone can use the beach they want to?
Well, in the ordinance itself, it does say 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I was going to bring that up for discussion. One of the things that did come up in our meeting was we didn't want the beach to become so restrictive that, let's say if somebody works at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, nothing should prohibit them from being able to go and take an early morning swim. If we have 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., that does suggest that nobody should be there before those hours. And so again, following the advisement of our committee of like, how can we still keep the most, not to say loose ended, but this flexibility of users. That's where the hour conversation came in to try to make it that we could actually inform the police department that really nobody should be within the beach using it by like before 5 a.m.
So now we got the police department gonna police that too?
No, I'm just saying as far as like, just like if anybody was out in the street, let's say if somebody was walking downtown and let's say the town had a curfew, that triggers the police to know like that's something that they should act on. No different than in the beach, that if somebody's using the beach in an after hour situation, they just know that they can appropriately have just means to inquire or ask them to leave.
So is there gonna be a gate there that they have to come through so someone can look at these stickers, or people are just gonna walk around the parking lot when people pull in?
So there's right now, we're not looking at trying to gate off this beach. If Monmouth really felt like they wanted to be that restrictive, that's certainly something that the committee and I can talk about. But for right now, the benefit that Monmouth has is that if you're gonna come into the beach, other than coming in by watercraft, you have to drive down the driveway.
Correct.
A lot of other town beaches, it's sidebar. Everybody comes from every which direction. So while I'm working with the committee and I'll work with their staff as far as like where they're actually going to be positioned, their job is going to be not only making sure, because I know there's residents that live back, that anytime a car comes in the parking lot, that's part of their job is that they're going to be helping to address, just to make sure, oh, resident, come on in. And then if you're non-resident, making sure that they have the proper access. And any non-resident, what we would be issuing, and this, I have not printed any of these just because I want to make sure everything gets through where we need it to be, or any revisions, is that we would be giving a non-resident a car tag that would hang on the rear view mirror. It's color coded so that when somebody down at the beach, a beach attendant issues it, it has a clear expiration date. And by color code, we know exactly what kind of pass it is.
And they'll have the license plate number on it so they can't pass it to their friends.
It does have a section onto it as well, and we do ask on the beach application itself to put that on there. We do say it's non-transferable.
Now, how are kids that are arriving to the beach or walking to the beach, how are they gonna say they're from Monmouth?
Well, part of that's kind of a 2-bucket thing. One is that we would ask them. I mean, there's just not, I mean, I went down there to address a few kids there on their bikes, and I asked if they're Monmouth residents, and they said yes. And I know I would have my abilities to be able to like follow up with certain people based on who they said they're affiliated with. But we also have it in our rules, which is part of the discussion tonight, is that anybody who's under the age of 15 should be with somebody who is an adult supervisor. We changed the language from parent just because I don't think that covers adequately who may be actually
So we have
responsible
kids
for
that
them.
live in town that at 12 years old, they go to the beach because they're out of daycare by death. You know, you can't expect them to sit at home all day and wait for a parent to come home.
Right. So, but I think that we do have to have some provisions to help keep the quality of that space safe. And so if the rules that we put forward tonight say that 15, under the age of 15, then it's our job as a rec department and as a community to make that explicitly known. And so obviously you handle one thing at a time, and if it's a beach attendant or if it's myself, it gets called down, that I have to verify residency. So be it, or who the adult supervisor is that's responsible for them. One thing that I got as direct feedback is that people were just dropping kids off at the beach unsupervised, which is a safety issue in itself. And so what we're trying to do is mitigate that and try to make sure that not only is our user management protocols in place to support what we're trying to do, but also trying to have the adequate staffing to enforce those rules, that it might take a few bumps along the way for people to get adjusted or to understand, like, you're more than welcome to be here, but these are the rules that are being.
I just think 15's a little high for the number, that it should be a little.
I have to concur with Sharon the whole time we've been talking since I read through the document. That's the only thing that stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, that would have taken a whole element of my life when I was a child and eliminated it. I lived there for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and beyond, was shriveled for 3 months at a time along with some of the other people that are in the room. And that would like totally change the whole lifestyle that childhood offered here. Just saying, I think 15 is a little high.
If you live downtown, once you're out of daycare, which is, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12. It's 12. Yeah. What are you gonna do for 3 years? Just sit at home while your parents are working and you're sweating someplace? So
I think one
15 is way too
fundamental question, and again, this is all good information for you to be able to hear going into the first year, and again, things that our rec committee can discuss is it the expectation of the beach staff to say, if you get out of daycare at 12, come down and we will be directly responsible for you? I think that like, we just have to be clear about what the jobs are that we're hiring for the beach attendants and what isn't their job at the same time. So
Again,
that's why I make sure that
it's
we're.
at the discretion of who is there at the beach. Is there a lifeguard on duty? And where we need to kind of bring some rules. These are the rules that would be attached to the beach ordinance based on the approval of the select board. Whether, like I said, we don't want to be police. We're not going to go around and ask every kid how old they are unless they're going out there and we think they might drown when they're out there. Then somebody might, say, who's with you? Or if they're causing trouble, who's with you? But I don't think that we're gonna, our expectation isn't that we're going to check every kid's ID that walks onto the beach property. We want to be able to have something to help enforce things and use it as a guideline. And encourage kids that come down there every day. We're not gonna shut them off. I mean, I was one of those kids that spent my day at the beach, but I also went to swimming lessons and knew how to swim. So my mother could trust me to go up there.
That's how it went.
Right. So I think that they're guidelines. We're not gonna call the cops and have a 15-year-old taken away. So they're guidelines that need to be attached to the beach ordinance based on the way the ordinance was written, that we needed to have rules, we need to have the application type of things was what? And a beach map. Three things?
I think one of the things we can do, when we have our next rec committee, is we can also look at what federal and state beaches do, like if there's an age limit, and just try and be in alignment with them. Because I believe the 15 was in Reed Fields, and it's a safety thing. If our lifeguards aren't there, or the beach attendants aren't there, we don't want the liability to all fall on the town and stuff. Yeah,
It's swim at your own risk, even when we're down there.
yeah. So
In Greenfield, the beach isn't like downtown like it is in Monticello. I mean, kids would have to walk up that.
But we're not assuming liability for these kids. They're gonna be running around the beach, right?
Swimming's at your own.
Swim at your own
it
risk.
said swim at your own risk. If we do the less than 15, we might want to adjust it so it says, like play, and so it's a little bit more expanded. I think the 15 kind of protect us if they're like, skateboarding or biking and they get injured on the property, versus right now where it says swim at your own risk, it's a little bit more protective. So if we lower the age, we're going to want to look at the verbiage.
I think the same discussion we had about the solid waste ordinance is about having the basis to go on. That nobody's gonna be, the code enforcement officer isn't gonna be driving around figuring this out, but you've got a basis to start with. And if you do have a problem, you have rules to work with. And you have an age to work with. So having that age as a guideline, and it's a basis to work with. So if a 12-year-old's down there behaving himself, swimming, minding his own business, okay. But if a 16-year-old is down there being naughty and causing problems, then we have recourse as well, you know, so those are the things that having a guideline to start with, and I think that's the biggest thing. There are rules, and we all know we have rules for a reason, and then you have a guideline to move forward with. So I think as one of those kids that rode their bike to the beach every single day, and I was teaching swimming lessons when I was 14. So, you know, I think that I understand 15. I think that's a good age to have on there, but you know, it doesn't mean that a 12-year-old can't go there and do their own thing. Because nobody's gonna, I mean, it doesn't even have an ID at that point in time unless he's got one to fly on a plane or something, but you know, how are you gonna find that out? You know, you'll only ask if they're being naughty. So,
But the only thing, it's like the transfer station. If I go in and I have a load of stuff to go in the hopper, whatever it is, and they charge me $35, and the next guy comes in with a load and it's like, oh, that's 50. There was a big argument down there this weekend about how come he paid this and I'm paying that. So if you got two 12-year-olds, and depending on who's on duty then, you can't swim because I said you're 12 and you've got to be 15. The next day, who's ever on duty says, oh, you can come in, you're 12, you're fine. So when you have rules, you've got to be one way or the other. You can't be wishy-washy.
No, I think that what is communicated by Mike to the people that he hires down there would be based on actions. So it's not, you know, everything's up to interpretation.
I mean, that's some of the problems we're in, especially at the transfer station. I mean, the people actually arguing with the guy the other day. And I almost stepped in and said,
are you guys good with this?
Yeah, I think this has been a good conversation.
And Darlene.
Well, we're talking about the beach.
I'm just saying that's what happens when you don't have strict.
We can bring this back to the rec committee. We have pretty regular meetings, and we've done a lot virtually because everyone in the committee tends to have very busy careers. So we can definitely revisit this. That's why it was brought here for discussion, for feedback.
And I can say, and I think a lot of other town people will say, I'm so against having non-residents. Our beaches are so packed right now in Mama Center. You don't need anybody else there. And what we were seeing down at the North Monmouth Beach, which don't any of you come, there was people from Lewiston coming and Green, and I said, well, what are you doing here, you know? And one little girl says, oh, because there's no beaches in Lewiston, so we can hear. There was 2 cars full of them. And then they started bringing the beer out. And that's when we had someone come down and they were asked to leave.
Right. So sorry about it.
I just want to say, Henry, I hope that Giller and folks and Darlene aren't feeling beat up on, because first and foremost, we're gonna be grateful that they're volunteering their time. It's long overdue that this committee existed, and I, for one, am extremely grateful that they are doing all this work. So hopefully, as our questions are coming out, you're not feeling beat up, because we're grateful that you're doing what you're doing.
No, I don't feel beat up. I just think that it's just based on what number 6 is on the select board agenda, so that they aren't here until 10 o'clock tonight.
Right.
That is to consider updated beach rules and beach pass applications.
Sometimes when you work really hard on something, as they have, this obviously shows a lot of work. And people are gonna ask questions, and you can take it to heart, and I just hope that they don't. Again, I think most people appreciate what you're doing.
Well, and it's.
You don't have to skin, Gail.
I have very thick skin.
As, you know, the things that attach to the beach ordinance are suggestions. They're rules and regulations that allow a baseline to be considered.
And just for clarification, so everyone's aware, this is so far just for the beach downtown. It's not for North Monmouth. That's a different project. Yeah, exactly. Because where that was brought up in the discussion, I just wanted to make that a point of clarification.
A lot of people from out of town. that are coming from Monmouth for the beaches.
I'm trying to increase town revenue, so I like when people visit
Gonna
town.
make them, you know, pay for your food.
Right, and I think this is, again, we're coming back into like, I asked the question early on, like, are there any metrics around who's utilizing our beach? I heard feedback, exactly what you had mentioned about things that are happening at this beach. So part of the ordinances is asking our committee to build out these dependencies that, let's say a bus from the YWCA in Lewiston,
That was
for example.
last year.
Is that too close though? Or example? We should create a mechanism in which people are authorized to go through a formal inquiry process with me to be able to utilize the beach. And it's up to the department, but I always use the rec committee as my sounding board to say, is this something that you would be in favor of?
No.
And so, and that's where I use the committee, just as that extra voice, not working independently, just as solo Mike as the rec director. But I think the point of what we were just saying, and even Kayla was mentioning, is I think it's healthy for us to have the ability to enforce what are the expectations for non-residents to come in, either individually or in a group format, create ways in which they can, you're not granted or promised anything, but here's the process in which you can request to reserve. Otherwise, if a bus came to the beach right now, based on how we have the rules, it's sorry.
They were good the last couple summers.
Right.
School bus from Lewiston.
Right.
Because someone told them they could.
Right. And so that's what we're trying to in this first summer is trying to clean a lot of that up and be able to have, as Darlene was mentioning, taking what we have in our ordinances. Because if you read the ordinances, it all makes perfect sense. And as you talked about, like the enforcement part is always trickiest is, are you able to do that consistently across the board? In a lot of ways, yes, but there's always going to be situations that arise that you do have to handle, you know, using discretion. So some kid that comes down, he might be 16 years old, but I think he's 12. I might use my discretion to go up and ask, hey, I'm Mike Griswold, I'm the rec director, just want to introduce myself, get some more information, yada,
So
yada,
that's okay, because you're an adult. But what if we hire some kids that's, I don't know, 18, 17 years old? Are they gonna be comfortable going up to someone and saying, how old are you?
Well, if they're in a public setting, we are clearly marked with having Monmouth staff. It is our responsibility to ensure that the people who are there are meant to be there. And so I would not have any issue going over and just, again,
But
first of
you're
all,
the adult.
introducing myself and then finding that out. And I would ask the beach attendants to do the exact same thing.
So many, many years ago, we're talking like 20, 25 years ago, the select board had looked at putting up a little booth. And you'd have, if you went through, you'd have to show a sticker or anything, and then it decided it was gonna be too much to maintain all that. And I just think this sounds like you're gonna have extra help to help maintain these rules and regulations.
That is very much the goal. And that's why I was trying to mention that, like, we're hoping that we get applicants to be able to execute a lot of the stuff on the ground.
So what is the budget for all this?
It's all in our proposed budget that went through. I don't have the figures right here in front of me. We have it broke down in line for part-time staff, seasonal staff. So that is something to certainly get back to. But we have specific lines dedicated for those positions.
Most of the shenanigans happen between 10 and 3.
On any given day? Okay.
As long as it's warm.
Yeah, and you know, and I think that that's also where.
10 PM and 3 AM.
This is also where it's really tough, right?
That's when the police department would.
Right,
call.
right, you know, and this is a perfect example of the exception rules, right, where, so like, if you think about staffing, if we said, you know, staffing's from this time to this time, when you have inclement weather days, like, it doesn't make sense to fully staff a beach that nobody's at, right? It's just, you're kind of just wasting money at that point. So that's where we're just trying to set up in this year one parameters in which we can figure out what is the best rules that we can enforce and do so hopefully in a sustainable way. also learn as we go to be able to implement what we need to, looking forward either to finish the season or looking into a summer two as well. I call this summer zero because I haven't played my first full year. But I was going to mention on the back of the application itself, it does have what are the proposed rules. For the interest of time, you could go through it, but I'm probably not going to. But I did print out on the table the old rules, what are printed down there right now. You're going to see a lot of it's very similar. However, some of what we have in the beach application informs some updated rules, such as having appropriate pass ready to display, what you are reviewed. So I think I'll just leave room for more questions.
Right, we made updates based on what certain issues might be in terms of where it says, like no smoking or alcoholic beverages. It goes into, vaping and different things like that, so that we've just updated things to be in this current environment. So,
and we did add a rule under there because the last rule were 15 and we did our best to keep it to no more. So we actually have 15. That the last one actually says each user's wishing to have any group function should call the Monmouth Town office at the listed phone number in advance to arrange fees and schedule time. So again, we're just trying to be transparent, give the means in which people can recognize, hey, this could be used, but there is also a form you have to go through.
right, if they want to use the pavilion, there's this form there that really they fill out the information and then Mike will work through the form and talk with them and decide what they're going to do, what they needed. So maybe just under the pavilion, kind of those type of things, just so that we have a general guideline of, if they're gonna have a little birthday party, or what. So we've already gotten somebody asked about having a graduation party down there before the beach technically opens. So just things so that we have some guidelines and rules where we didn't really have any teeth really of the beach ordinance and these rules attached to be able to enforce anything.
So the thing I'll just note, which is in the packet, is instead of it being a reservation form, it's just an inquiry form. And this is the physical copy, but again, you would look to have this be available online. Everything would come forward to me, but just ask the basic information such as what is the type of function you're looking for, date, time, expected for people that you're looking to have. And while this will be is a trigger for me to be able to follow up, ask more questions, and then look at what would a potential fee schedule be if we're even able to accommodate or we want to accommodate it. Yes.
Last thing on the age thing. So I think it makes sense to just do it with when they start their teens. The state of Maine law is that they age out at 12. They can go until they're the daycare. Their birthday. And some daycares, it's at the discretion of my granddaughter. She turns 12 April 25th, so she can go through the end of the school year at the discretion of the daycare provider. But legally, they age out at 12. So 13 seems like a good age to start, and they're entering their teens. So I agree with the 15 is too high. Because it'll be, I don't know, I had those kids, I was that kid. Didn't restrict our boys, they would have driven us nuts if they'd stayed on the prison. I done their thing. I never got any phone calls from the police.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we want to do right by what the community is looking for.
And I know it was said that the 15 is like I don't know, up and down, but it's no cap letters.
What?
It's no capital letters here. So to me, that's really, this is the way it's gonna be.
And how people are gonna read it, because once it is an ordinance, they're thinking, wow.
It's really up to the select board to decide what they want.
That's why this was brought to this meeting. This isn't set in stone. We knew that there'd be multiple rounds of revisions, and that's why we wanted the public comment on it.
It's up to the select board on their decision. their discussion and they decide what they want to.
And I honestly feel less bad about like my kids. My kids had everything growing up. I think what she's thinking about too is the kids that live downtown that have parents that work 12 hours that just don't get a lot of attention. And just have a crappy home life, but it's gonna be their outlet. It's what makes the last.
Well, we'll take that feedback and, you know, Kayla made a good point of around looking at, you know, again, like what even like state parks do. I think most state parks, if I'm not mistaken, usually if you're 12 and under, you do need to be supervised. So it may just fall in accordance.
And I'm just thinking the daycare thing, being the law, they age out at 12, that would be the starting point.
That's good feedback.
Would you like a date certain to bring this back, or do you want to leave it open to your committee to work through it some more?
We have to schedule our next meeting, so once we get down the books, then we can coordinate with you, bring it back.
So just a table indefinitely would be a motion.
So just from like a date time frame, right now, again, like the first day of the beach season that we have is June 15th. I try to keep in mind, you know, how early we can try to get staff on for various reasons for training. So it's definitely something that I know I personally don't want to sit on for too long, but we'll get after it with the rec committee to try to I don't even think it's worthy of calling it an emergency meeting. We met pretty frequently.
Well, and if we're not having a meeting on the 30th, it would be our next meeting in May. So, you know, that'll give you a fair amount of time to put that together. And then from there, you'd be able to get it published or printed to have for June start, you know.
Sure. Yeah, because one thing I would do is if new rules are going to be approved, then I'd be ordering a new sign.
Yeah. What would it take to get this non-resident pass off?
I'm actually very passionate about that. When I did the streetlight survey, there were a lot of responses from people that they want to see downtown develop. They want to see businesses come in. So by allowing non-residents to use our beach, hopefully, you know, they'll stop at the general store. Hopefully they'll stop at the bakery. Hopefully they'll stop at the quick shop and funnel money back into the economy. And then if we do eventually get, like, I really want to establish a farmer's market, get that going. We want people to visit the town and put profits back into
I
the
can
town.
think the people that are visiting the town beach are not people that are gonna care about the.
They might be walking there though, or like to the, if we get food trucks or something.
Driving here.
Yeah, but sometimes people, I don't think that we should limit it to just town residents.
It's a town beach.
Which is why we'd be charging the non-residents.
The beach is so crowded right now, I don't think we can really take any more people on. Have you ever gone down there in the summer, try to sit? Yeah, there's just no places.
I think that having the fee though might deter large groups. I think it's something that, you know, if it's gonna be a bus of people, we can have a different fee set up for that, but I'm very passionate about allowing non-residents to use the beach. I think it's something that a lot of small towns across the country are dying because they don't make things available to communities outside of them. And if we want people to move into our community, we have to create an environment that's welcoming. And by saying, you know, no one else can use this community but the people who are here, that's gonna make it so people don't want to visit us.
There's not much to visit in Monmouth right now. It's a dying town. We all know.
Well, we
about
have more
Main Street.
trails going in. We really want people to come here and actually, we want to revive the town. That's my goal. That's why I joined the select board, is I don't want to see Monmouth die. And I would like to see more people come here, come to our events, like the Apple Fest thing.
Oh, that's big.
But it could be bigger. We could get
Right,
more
the
people,
beach is
especially
gonna
we
be
have so
that.
many lakes. We have so many lakes surrounding town, and there's so many summer residents here and in Winthrop and other towns. It'll make a huge difference. So
When
I'm very
you put
passionate about that.
another, even 20 extra kids on that beach, it's crazy down there.
I'm gonna make a motion that we table the town beach rules and beach pass application.
Second.
Mark made a motion and Ken seconded it to table the town beach rules and beach pass application. All those in favor? Hey, Sharon, you should come to their committee meeting. I mean, you have a lot of to contribute, so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for all the programs this up too.
Next on the agenda is to consider increasing the maximum award for the event and facade grants.
Kent's gonna take the lead on this. He's on the committee and he has the memo from Reagan in front of him.
Sure, let me just read to you. Folks, if you're gonna have a conversation, folks, could you take it outside? So let me just read to you Reagan's memo that was the result of our Economic Development Committee meeting. At the March 30th meeting, the Economic Development Committee reviewed the current limits for each of the town's two grant programs, the event grant and the facade grant. Funds from these two grants are generated from the town's Main Street Omnibus Tax Incremental Financing District and are meant to encourage economic development, business growth, residents, and visitors to gather in Monmouth. Both programs are available for businesses and nonprofits in Monmouth to apply for. It was discussed that with increasing costs of supplies for events and construction costs for facade improvement, raising the maximum allowable amounts would make the grants more helpful to local groups. The facade grant application, which I don't know that we attached it, but we can update it, offers a 50% of certain capital costs, 50% subsidy of certain capital costs for business facades as outlined in the application. The current maximum match is $12,500. The Economic Development Committee is recommending that this match be increased to $15,000. The events grant application provides grants for up to $3,000 for community events, and the Economic Development Committee is recommending that this maximum grant amount be $5,000 instead. And so the reality of these numbers, they were last updated, I want to say about 8 years ago, 5 years ago. We've had some inflation since then, and these new limits, which are a little bit higher than the old ones, are still a 50% match, but they're a reflection of some of the inflation that we've seen most recently.
I make the motion, we approve the increasing the maximum awards for the event and facade grants.
I'll second.
So the motion by Chris, second by Ken, to approve increasing the maximum award for the event and facade grants. All those in favor? Thank you. Next is to consider deeming past due taxes on lot 20-004-006 as uncollectible.
So what we have here is this property, I can't speak to how it happened. I wasn't here and that we've had several tax collectors, deputy tax collectors since then. What it appears is though this property transferred, and as you can see on the account detail, is that the current owner is current and has been since they acquired the parcel. Past due amounts on here are going back to 2012. And what they're doing is they're accumulating and generating liens on prior activity. The underlying problem, the reason it's uncollectible, and that I'm bringing it to you, is that the information that leads to those liens on here was part of the Northern Data System, which we had in the past, which we no longer have and do not have access to the detail of how those taxes were committed to those people. So we couldn't enforce these legally if we tried. So these have been sort of hanging on to the current owner that were attributable to the previous owner. And we don't have the paperwork or the ability to actually enforce them. So it's kind of liens are piling up on this person's home to no fault of their own. So I'm asking you to just waive the past due amounts.
So for the public record, could you tell us what the amounts are? And then secondly, just so that folks understand what the address in question is.
You want the,
You can see, you got that?
Yeah, just so he can read it for.
it's 15 Blue Rock Road, number 6.
Okay.
And it's going to be 7. And there's going to be a little change here because these past due balances add interest every day. So it's gonna be minus $517.01. So you're looking at around $7,059.25.
How much of that is interest and how much of that is principal?
The cost, the lien costs are $421. The interest is $2,370, and the principal amount is around $4,200 if you take out the payment, which was due today, which may have been paid before I printed this.
Right.
After I printed this.
So the principal amount is like 4,200 and the rest of it is interest.
Yeah.
Because it's been accumulating since.
Costs and fees, yes, correct. Since 2012.
So $4,200, and it's not really a collectible amount because we
can't really
we've
enforce
lost
it.
the documentation is so old.
That's correct.
I make a motion, we deem the past due taxes on law 20-004-006 as uncollectible.
Second. Was a motion by Chris, second by Mark to deem past due taxes on that lot as uncollectible. All those in favor? Thank you. Next is consider disposing of
2016.
200X.
It's 2016. I didn't know that the year that when I wrote, I meant to change it and I didn't notice it. So I'm sorry. It's 2016.
2016 Ford F550 dump truck with plow gear, and a 2006 International dump truck with plow gear, and a Jeep Liberty SUV.
Is this Dave's old car?
Yes. Yes, it is.
It'd still be running if he had it.
Dave, you might be able to purchase it if we vote on this.
I tried 6 years ago and it wasn't for sale.
I'll give it to you instead of a watch.
So those are
It can be disposed of however you would like them to be.
Isn't that what we usually
Yeah, I
do?
Yep. That's usually what we do, but yes. And we'll park them in the usual spot. near the
I make a
town.
motion, we authorize the town manager to dispose of those 3 vehicles.
Does that mean to put out the bid?
Yes.
Okay.
In a sealed bid.
There a second?
Mark did, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
So, we're, asking the town manager, or we're, having the town manager dispose of, those vehicles. All those in favor? Thank you. And next is to consider warrant, for April 15th, 2026, fiscal year 25-26.
Allegiance trucks, $1,806, various maintenance on public works vehicles. Blue Rock Earthworks, materials transport for the transfer station, $2,906. Blue Star Accounting and Advising, our pre-auditor, $1,162. Central Maine Power Company, $2,786. Dennis K. Burke, gasoline, $2,348. Dirigo Wireless, radio installation for fire, I believe it's fire, $1,698. Drummond and Woodsum, the town's attorney, $2,500. Fabian Oil, $1,803. Various buildings. La Rochelle Consulting, Economic Development Consultant, $1,350. Maine Equalization Consultants, the town's assessor, $2,437. Monmouth Sanitary District, $1,705. National Volunteer Fire Council, $1,377 training activity for the fire department. New England Salt Company, $2,659. All Route downtown property acquisition, $1,500. Pine Tree Engineering, $18,000. That's for the engineering for the Main Street reconstruction project. RHR Smith and Company, that's the retainer for the new auditor, $20,250. RSU number 2, $563,369. State of Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, $9,171. for a total warrant of $648,420.50.
I make a motion, we approve fiscal year 25-26 warrant of April 15th, 2026.
Second. There's a motion by Chris, second by Ken to approve the warrant for April 15th, 2026, fiscal year 25-26. All those in favor? Thank you.
Quick question before we go into executive session. Chief, you had mentioned a while ago that you had received word that our ISO rating had dropped by 1 notch. Did you ever get a report from that? If and when you do, would you mind sharing it? I'd be curious to know.
I think I've requested it like 3 times and I'm not finding it anywhere.
Yeah. That's fine.
It's not fine. I don't. 5x or something like that, which is good. You know, I can drop from low 6.
Okay. So our new rating is 5x.
Yeah.
That's awesome for homeowners.
Does this affect you on your island?
I think things were within the hydrant district or within 1,000 feet
Or a certain distance of a hydrant.
And I forget what the outside that district, what the number is. Because the number changed. It used to be 6, 9. 9 was outside the district, 6 was in the hydrant district. They reformatted or changed it. But when I talked to the gentleman, he said, after doing the revaluation, he said, you actually went down 1 notch lower, which was good.
Sure. Well, it also is going to be important for people who are living in North Monmouth, where the hydrant district is expanding. So, because they'll be going from a 9 to a 5x or whatever, once that goes in, presumably.
Yes.
That might encourage some of the people that don't want to hook up to hook up.
Yeah, no, that actually.
Well, no, but I mean.
Down their road.
Exactly, I know, but it'll help them all. But I mean, they might, there might be, because if their insurance is going down.
Oh, they might be able
Might be-
to feel like they can
Feel like
afford.
they can.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yes.
Like it'll fit easier in their budget to pay for ongoing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another reason.
How much difference do you think it makes?
I don't know. I'm gonna do a little research and find out.
It's not huge. I mean, maybe if Chief Ferlin was here with his past Horace Mann experience. But when I moved to the house from East Monmouth to Maple Street and pointed out that, there was a hydrant right around the corner on Welch and also up on the corner with Great Mill Road, it was discernible. To see the difference there. And if it's, a monthly $10 decrease, I mean, that can help out quite a bit. Obviously water might be a little more than that, but it also is a good little benefit. I don't remember because it was,
I'm in the office tomorrow.
20 years ago.
I'll try one.
Okay.
Thank you. So, no, we're not.
Okay.
I make a motion, we go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA section 4056E legal.
Yeah, thank you. And There's a motion by Chris, second by Mark, executive session.
50%.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
What do you guys?